Hare Krishna. Shalini, Gopal Krishna Prabhu, go ahead. Unmute.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Please accept our humble obeisances, seeking permission and blessings from you all, Srila Prabhupada, all gurus in disciplic succession, and Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. We would try to present a summary of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 27. Please forgive us for any shortcomings or mistakes. We will now do the invocation. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjala-shalakaya Chakshud Unmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Today we are going to cover the topic Understanding Material Nature from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 27. And it is in two parts. And the first part is going to be made by Shalini. Then I will follow up. Hare Krishna. Shalini.
Hare Krishna. The key points that will be covered in today's presentation are Devahuti's question to Lord Kapila Dev, Jiva in the conditioned state, third, Jiva's original position, fourth, Devahuti's question about rarity of liberation, fifth, Lord Kapila Dev's recommendations, and sixth, final liberation of a pure devotee. The first three key points will be covered by me, and the next 3 points will be covered by Gopal. In chapter 25, Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila Dev, asks 4 questions to the Lord. The Lord answers the first 2 questions in chapter 25, and Devahuti's third question is to elaborate the process of Sankhya or Jnana, and the answer is given by the Lord in chapter 26 and 27. So in the previous chapter, Lord Kapila Dev concluded that simply by beginning the discharge of devotional service, one can attain detachment and transcendental knowledge for understanding the science of God. Here, in this chapter 27, he continues the Jnana or Sankhya section, and he specifically analyzes the situation of the conditioned soul and how a pure devotee can attain liberation. Let us see the condition of the jiva in the conditioned state. The conditioned soul is forced to act under the pressure of the modes of material nature. The living entity has no independence, but when, under the impression that he is satisfying his senses, he engages in sense gratification, he is actually under the spell of material nature. Let us see this verse from Bhagavad Gita, which is explaining that. Bhagavad Gita 3.27. Prakrite kriya manani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. The spirit soul is bewildered by influence of false ego thinks himself to be the doer of the activities, whereas actually the activities are carried out by the three modes of material nature. So one acts according to the particular modes of nature one has acquired. Guna. What is guna? Guna are the qualities of nature, and he is under these qualities of nature, but falsely he thinks he is the proprietor. And actually, the living entity's position is that he is transcendental to the material existence, but because of the mentality of lording over material nature, this material condition does not cease. Again, this jiva in the conditioned state is again confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.27.3. Tena samsara padvim avasobhiyeti anavritaha prasanga kaya karma doshai sad asan mishrayonishu. Translation: the conditioned soul therefore transmigrates into different species of life, higher and lower, because of his association with the modes of material nature. Unless he is relieved of the material activities, he has to accept this position due to his faulty work. So further explanation of this, a conditioned soul is under the spell of material nature, however, cannot understand that any action he performs for sense gratification is faulty. Example, any activity, either good or bad, like we do charity by, opening hospital or opening educational institutions, but this is not going to give us relief from transmigration from one body to another. And only the activities in devotional service of the Lord will give him release from the reaction of these faulty activities. And because he doesn't cease these faulty activities, he has to change into different bodies, some high, some low, and that is called samsara padvim, which means this material world from which there is no release. Now let us see the original state of the jiva. A person who is detached from the material modes, from the modes of material nature, remains just like the sun's reflection on water. Here you can see that the sun's reflection is falling on the water. So when the water is unsteady, or whether the water is cool or cold, that has no effect on the sun, which is far away. It cannot affect the sun. This is further explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam verse. 1.2.7. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Jnane Ati Asyu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yad Ahaitukam. By rendering devotional service to the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. When one engages fully in the activities of devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, he becomes just like the sun reflected on water. Although a devotee appears to be in the material world, he is actually in the transcendental world and unaffected by the qualities of material nature. Let us see how jivas are eternal parts and parcels of the Lord. Avikara means without change. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that each and every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. If anybody has memorized this verse, if anybody wants to, narrate this verse and read the translation, you're welcome.
Mother, side.
Sure, Prabhu.
Jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana mana shastrani indrani prakati sthani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to the conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thus, his eternal position is to cooperate or dovetail his energy with the Supreme Lord. That is his unchanging position. That is avikara. As soon as he employs the energy and activities for sense gratification, this change of position is called vikara. Similarly, even in this material body, when one practices devotional service under the direction of spiritual master, he comes to that position that is without change, because that is his natural duty. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, liberation means reinstatement of one's original position. And what is the original position of the living entity? It is of rendering service to the Lord. When one becomes detached from material attraction and engages fully in the service of the Lord, that is changelessness or avikara. And one who desires material liberation has to turn his activities to devotional service for which there is no alternative. Now, let us see how the Lord is the source and beneficiary for all the activities. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhadram sarvabhutanam yatva mam shantim rachati. A person in translation, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from pangs of material miseries. So, as confirmed here, the Lord is the beneficiary of all sacrifices and penances, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam, and he is the proprietor of all three worlds, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is the actual friend of the living entities, but instead of leaving the proprietorship, enjoyment, and actual position to the Lord, we claim that we are proprietors, we are enjoyers, and we are friends. One should try to raise the consciousness of the conditioned soul to the platform of understanding that Krishna is his actual friend. As soon as one engages in such serious devotional service, naturally, the propensity to falsely claim over the lordship over material nature will disappear. And that detachment is called Vairagya. Instead of being absorbed in material lordship, one engages in Krishna consciousness, and that is the control of our consciousness. And unless one's mind is fully engaged in devotional, mind and consciousness are fully engaged in devotional service, there is always an opportunity for the mind to be occupied in some desire for sense gratification. There are some other verses. Bhagavad Gita 10.8. If anybody has memorized this, if you would like to chant.
Yes, Shalini. Agam sarvasya prabhavo madhya sarvam prapatyate iti madhya bhajante mam buddha bhava samapitaha. Want me to read the...
Yes, Auntie.
Okay. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Isha, number 3. Okay, sorry.
Auntie, just later. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much. So a pure devotee can see the presence of Supreme Personality of Godhead in everything materially manifested. He is present there only as a reflection, but a pure devotee can realize that the darkness of material illusion is the only light of material illusion. The only light is the Supreme Lord, who is his supporter. Yes, Auntie, you can go ahead reading. Isha Upanishad 6 again confirms this.
Okay, you go. Uncle, wait.
Uncle, please go ahead reading. Isha Upanishad 6, it's on the slide.
Isha Upanishad 6. He who systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or anything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Uncle. Thank you, Uncle. Brahma Samhita 5.1. It again confirms that Krishna is the cause of all causes. Ishvara Paraham Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin. He is the prime cause of all causes. The example given here is perfect. The sun is situated in the sky, far away on the surface of the earth, but its reflection can be seen on a pot of water which is in the corner of the room. The room is dark, the sun is far away, but the reflection of water illuminates the room's darkness. So a pure devotee can realize the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead everywhere by his reflection of his energy. In the Vishnu Puran, it is stated that the presence of fire is understood by heat and light. Heat and light. So the Supreme Lord is perceived everywhere by the diffusion of his different energies. And this is perceived by a liberated soul, just as sunshine and reflection can be perceived everywhere, although the sun is situated far away. The explanation by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu of how a person can be liberated in this body is elaborately explained in verse 13 of the chapter of this chapter 27, that he has become Satyadrik, that means self-realized, that he realizes his position in relationship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and remains apparently merged in the five elements of matter, that's his body, but is still considered to be awake and freed from the reaction of false ego. A very beautiful example is given here by Jiva Goswami that all of us would have heard in class also. A green bird, when he enters a green tree, appears to be merged with the color of greenness, but actually he doesn't lose his individuality. Similarly, a living entity, when he is merged in the material nature or spiritual nature, does not give up his individuality. What is the real individuality? It is understanding oneself to be the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. Krishna also, we just saw, Krishna confirms in the Bhagavad Gita that we are part and parcels, eternally part and parcels of the Supreme. And the part and parcel are meant to serve the whole. And this is actually individuality. Now, we'll move on to the next slide, which is showing a difference between a soul in the conditioned state and the liberated state. So in the conditioned state, the person, we realize that, we think that I am this body. Whereas in the liberated state, the person knows, individual knows that I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. In the conditioned state, he thinks everything in relation to the body is mind. That is false ego. The contaminated consciousness one sees everything is for his own enjoyment. Here, in the liberated state, he engages everything, his energy, wealth, intelligence, words in the service of the Lord, no matter how he is situated. He is Satyadrik, which is Satyadrik means self-realize, verse 13 of chapter 27. In pure consciousness, he sees everything exists for the enjoyment of the Supreme Enjoyer. In the liberated state, the presence of the Lord is perceived by everyone, perceived everywhere. Example, the sun's reflection we have discussed. Whereas here in the conditioned state, he does not have this kind of understanding. Contaminated, in the conditioned state, his consciousness is contaminated and it's compared to dream consciousness, whereas Krishna consciousness is compared to the awakened stage of life. In the conditioned state, one must undergo reactions of the faulty actions, whereas here, in the liberated state, there is no reaction. Let us see the view of a person in the conditioned state. When a conditioned soul sees a flower, say a rose, uses the nice aromatic flower for his own sense gratification, whereas in the liberated state, a devotee sees that a beautiful flower is made possible by the energy of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it belongs to the Lord and should be utilized in his service. In the conditioned state, the three modes of material nature causes all kinds of disturbances, whereas in a liberated state, is completely independent of the influence of material nature. In the conditioned state, there is continuous transmigration of soul from one body to another, whereas in the liberated state, he is totally liberated. Hare Krishna. Now Gopal would continue the rest of the presentation.
Hare Krishna. Now we will move to the next question raised by Devahuti, which is in the same chapters, verse 17. Devahutir Uvacha Purusham Prakritir Brahman na vimuchyati karshit anyona apashrayatvat nityatvat anyonya prabho. Sri Devahuti inquired, my dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is their separation possible? By practical experience, one can see that when the soul is separated from the body has no real existence. And the body is separated from the soul, one cannot perceive the existence of the soul. As long as the soul and the body are combined, we can understand that there is life. But when they are separated, there is no manifested existence of the body or the soul. For example, the flower, the earth, everything has an aroma. If the aroma is separated from the flower cannot be identified. If there is no taste in water, the water has no meaning. If there is no heat in the fire has no meaning. Although the living entity desires freedom from that contamination of matter, he is not given release. Actually, as soon as a living entity puts himself under the control of the modes of material nature, his acts are influenced by the qualities of material nature, and he becomes passive. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Prakriti Kriya Manani, what Shalini read some time back. The living entity acts according to the qualities or modes of material nature. He falsely thinks that he is acting, but unfortunately he is passive. He has no opportunity to get out of the control of material nature because it has already contaminated him. And it is very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. So Devahuti poses the question that although one may speculate in many ways, where is liberation as long as one is under the spell of material nature? So the answer is also found in Bhagavad Gita. Next verse. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 14. Devihi isa gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam evayaya prapadhyante mayam yetam tarantite. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So only one who has completely surrendered himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord can be freed from the clutches of Maya. Actually, unless a living entity surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as instructed in Bhagavad Gita, there is no liberation or freedom from the clutches of Maya. So material bondage is caused by putting oneself under the control of matter because of the false ego of the propensity for to lording over the material nature. So in Bhagavad Gita, verse 7.27, there are two propensities which are very clearly explained. One is Icha, the other one is Dvesha. Icha is basically, which means desiring over material nature. The desire to lord it over material nature, or to be as great as the Supreme Personality of God. Everyone desires to be the greatest personality in this material world. So Devsha means envy. When one becomes envious of Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one thinks, why shouldn't Krishna be the all and all? I am as good as Krishna. These two items, desire to be the Lord and envy of the Lord, are the beginning cause of the material bondage. There is no question of liberation then. Then moving on, in this same chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 21, now the Bhagavan responds, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Animita Nimitena Swadharmena Amala Atmana Tivriyaya Maya Bhaktyaya Shruta Sampratya Chiram. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service unto me and thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me. By thus executing one's prescribed duties, there will be no reaction and one will be freed from the contamination of matter. Conditional life begins only after one is infected by the modes of material nature. If someone is in contact with the police department, for example, that does not mean that he is a criminal. As long as one does not commit criminal acts, even though there is a police department, he is not punished. Similarly, the liberated soul is not affected, although he is in the material nature. One has to act in such a way that in spite of being in the material nature, he is not affected by contamination. For example, another example is the lotus flower, which is an association with water, but it does not mix with the water. If one wants to perfect his life, one should discharge his prescribed duties for the satisfaction of the Lord Krishna. One must act in Krishna consciousness. Such action will never produce any reaction. And that is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita in verse 3.9. Anybody wants to recite this? Okay.
I will do it, Gopal. Yajnartana karma nayatra lokayam karma bandhana tat attam kama kautiya mukta sangha samakara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain free from bondage. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Uncle. So here it is also prescribed by Kapila that one can transcend material engagement by acting in Krishna consciousness, which means seriously engaging in devotional service. This serious devotional service can develop by hearing for long periods of time. Chanting and hearing is the beginning of the process of devotional service. One should associate with the devotees and hear from them about the Lord's transcendental appearances, and activities and disappearance, instructions, etc. And in the class we all have gone, we have done the Nectar of Instruction class, and I think in verse 3, Rupa Goswami has given all the 6 items which enhances one's bhakti by practicing strictly following those instructions given in text 3 of the Nectar of Instruction. There are 2 kinds of Shruti or scriptures. One is spoken by the Lord, the other is spoken about the Lord and his devotees. Bhagavad Gita is the former and Srimad Bhagavatam is the latter. One must hear these scriptures repeatedly from reliable sources in order to become fixed in serious devotional service. Through engagement in such devotional service, one becomes freed from the contamination of Maya. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that hearing about Supreme Personality of Godhead cleanses the heart of all contamination caused by the influence of the 3 modes of material nature. By continuous regular hearing, the effects of the contamination of lust and greed to enjoy or lord it over material nature diminishes. And when lust and greed diminish, one then becomes situated in the mode of goodness. This is a stage of Brahman realization or spiritual realization. In this way, one becomes fixed on the transcendental platform. Remaining fixed on the transcendental platform is liberation from the material engagement. And then the next verse, verse 22, Jnanena drishta tatvena vairagyena baliyasha tapo yuktena yogena tivrena atma samadhena. This devotional service has to be performed strongly in perfect knowledge and with a transcendental vision. One must be strongly renounced and must engage in austerity and perform mystic yoga in order to be firmly fixed in self-absorption. One has to perform devotional service in full knowledge by visualizing the absolute truth. We can understand about the absolute truth by evolving the transcendental knowledge. And the result of such transcendental knowledge will be manifested by reunification. That reunification is not temporary or artificial, but it's very strong. Renunciation. It is said that the development of Krishna consciousness is exhibited by the proportionate material detachment or vairagya. If one does not separate himself from the material enjoyment, it is to be understood that he is not advancing in Krishna consciousness. Renunciation in Krishna consciousness is so strong that it cannot be deviated by any attractive illusion. In this way, one becomes fixed in devotional service, and his faith cannot be shaken by any material allurement. Material contamination can be consumed by devotional service because in devotional service, these two diseases, namely the desire to lord it over material nature and the desire to become one with the Supreme Lord, are absent. A devotee in full Krishna consciousness appears superficially to be a great karmi, always working, but the inner significance of the devotee's activities is that they are meant for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord. This is called bhakti or devotional service. Arjuna was apparently a fighter, but when by his fighting he satisfied the senses of the Lord as he became a devotee. Since a devotee also engages in philosophical research to understand the Supreme Person and as he is, his activities may thus appear to be like those of a mental speculator, but actually he is trying to understand the spiritual nature and transcendental activities. Thus, although the tendency for philosophical speculation exists, the material effects of the fruitive activities and the empiric speculation do not, but because this activity is meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one is actually situated in devotional service, that is his independent position. To be the servant of the Lord is the greatest position. If one can understand this and can thus revive one's original nature of eternal servitorship of the Lord, one stands fully independent. A living entity's independence is lost by material contact. In the spiritual field, he has full independence, and therefore there is no question of becoming dependent upon the three modes of material nature. This position is attained by a devotee. Therefore, he gives up the tendency for material enjoyment after seeing its fault lines. Similarly, the position of self-realization or understanding of one's real relationship with the Supreme Lord makes one completely satisfied, and the three modes of material nature, which are the causes of all disturbances, cannot afflict him. Actually, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, the only absolute enjoyer is Krishna. The truth is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the enjoyer, and that the living entities are meant for his service and enjoyment. One who knows this truth and who tries to engage all resources in the service of the Lord escapes all material reactions and influences the modes of material nature, doesn't impact him. If while performing any activity, even in material existence, one's mind is fixed upon the lotus feet of the Personality of Godhead, one will not be entangled or conditioned. The worker in devotional service is in full Krishna consciousness. He is always independent of the influence of material nature. Now, this chart shows how the mixed devotee is positioned and how a pure devotee is positioned. Anyone engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as a devotee. But there is a distinction between the pure devotees and the mixed devotees. A devotee's attention is concentrated only upon the eternal loving service of the Lord, and therefore the power of death has no influence over him. In such a devotional state, a perfect yogi can attain the status of immortal knowledge and bliss. So in this chart, you can see a mixed devotee is not completely purified, while the pure devotee is completely purified. A mixed devotee has all these expectations, expects material benefits, he expects relief from material miseries, he wants material gains when he prays to his God. Mental speculation or engages in devotional service for spiritual benefit of being entirely engaged in the transcendental abode of the Lord. He wants to advance in knowledge of the relationship between the Supreme Personality and living entity. Whereas in the case of pure devotee, he doesn't have any expectations except he is only just surrendered to God. He is transcendental to all these conditions. In the case of mixed devotee, his devotional service is adulterated, while the devotional service of a pure devotee is always pure. There is no spontaneity when it comes to a mixed devotee, whereas the activities of a pure devotee is towards devotion is spontaneous. It engages to satisfy the Supreme Lord always. In the case of a mixed devotee may follow the spiritual master to make some progress in devotional service, whereas in the case of a pure devotee, he receives intelligence from the Lord so that they can gradually and progressively they can advance to the Lord's abode. Devotional service is revealed to the pure devotee by the unlimited costless mercy of the Lord. It is also a mixed devotee is not self-realized, whereas a pure devotee is self-realized devotee, engages in devotional service, and he understands his destination even when in this body. After the mixed devotee, after quitting his body, he returns to the earthly planets, or he may even go down to a lower planets, depending upon what he has done. After quitting this body, in the case of pure devotee, he reaches his destination and never comes back. Mixed devotee is still materially bound, whereas pure devotee is fully liberated. Hare Krishna. Now I'll hand it over to Shalini. She has I'm sorry. So the key takeaways from both our presentation are that surrender unto his lotus feet and perform undeviated devotional service. One must hear scriptures such as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam repeatedly from reliable sources in order to become fixed in serious devotional service. Control the mind with bhakti and detachment by performing the intense devotional service to the Supreme Lord. And devotees should follow the 9 processes of pure devotional service taught by Prahlad Maharaj, which is found in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Can anybody tell which are these processes of devotion services which is taught by Prahlad Maharaj? Prabhu has also discussed in class several times. If anybody remembers even few of them, we can just.
Yeah, I can.
Yes, Prabhu.
Shravanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pad Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam.
Right. So, Prabhu, you can just explain what all of them are also.
Exactly, I don't know, but I have read about these in Hindi, so I'm not much sure.
No problem, Prabhu. So, Shravanam means hearing, Kirtanam is chanting, Vishnu Smaranam is remembering Lord Vishnu, Pada Sevanam is serving the feet, lotus feet. Archanam is offering worship, 16 kinds of paraphernalia. Vandanam is offering prayers. Dasyam is becoming the servant. Sakyam is becoming his best friend. Atma Nivedanam is surrendering everything, whatever one has.
And the best service is to awaken the dormant Krishna consciousness in others. And the Padma Purana also says, Samratvaya Satatham Vishnu. Always remember Krishna, never forget the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So, just before we conclude, we'll just go through a quiz. So there are just some very simple questions which we have heard multiple times, and then it's also part of whatever we presented. So if I'll just read the question, and if anybody knows the answer, you can just give. Conditioned soul's real quality of dash, 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 there are 3 dashes, are not being lost in this material world. It is what exactly happens to it. Can anybody tell what the real quality of conditioned soul is? Yes, Shivangi, you can go ahead.
Is it truth, bliss, and knowledge?
Absolutely correct, Shivangi. So it's Sachitananda. Are not lost by the material world. So what exactly happens to it when we are conditioned, if it's not lost? So basically it is just covered. So it is the original quality is not lost. It is just covered by being in this material world. Then the second one, second question, the original purpose of the soul is to dash. What is the original purpose of the soul?
Hare Krishna.
To do devotional service.
Correct. Render service to Krishna. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu, that's correct. Kalyani Mataji, anything else you want to say, or is the same thing?
Yes, Mata, the same thing, to be the servitor of the Supreme Personality.
Correct, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji and Prabhu. The next question, by the process of dash, the soul's original glory will be manifested.
Surrender.
Yes, surrender. It can be even devotional service or bhakti yoga. Then the fourth question, the conditioned living entity is forced to act under dash.
Prince of Maya.
Correct. Or the modes of material nature. Correct, Prabhu. Thank you. Then the next question, can anybody explain the sun's reflection and the material world analogy which we just discussed? Yes, Shivangi, go ahead.
The sun's reflection on the water, even if the water is disturbed or moving or hot or cold, the sun's reflection stays as it is because the sun is still in the sky in a fixed position. And just like that, the liberated living entity is not disturbed by any material world conditions.
Correct. Very correct. So the sun.
My realization is slightly different. God is within you, and He is in you and apart from you. That is the meaning. Like sun, it sends the reflection, even though we benefit, but it is far off from you. That is a realization.
Correct, Prabhu, and Shivangi too. So the sun is at a distance and it's far away, and it's the reflection is falling in the water. So the sun is not disturbed. It remains its original position. The sun remains undisturbed, even if the reflection in the water, if the water is moving hot, cold. So similarly, a person in the material world, especially a liberated soul. So it doesn't matter whether the material world is not going to cause any disturbance to him. His original position remains fixed. Next question is, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.1.11 has defined pure devotional service as. Does anybody know what exactly has been described here? Can you, either the verse or the even translation or meaning is fine. Okay, so it's Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu says that Anya Abhilasha Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Uttamam. So one should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord favorably. That's so important, favorably, without desire for any material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. The next slide is just giving the answer. So in case if anybody is interested, you can just take a screenshot or picture. So we would like to end by offer obeisances. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhairvecha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo nama. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls.
Please forgive us for any
mistakes or shortcomings, and we have only tried to repeat whatever we have heard from Prabhu's class, as well as the purports of Srila Prabhupada. So please forgive us for any mistakes.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.
So first you should all, thank you, it's all very good presentation. First you should all provide any inquiries and striking points from the class.
That's done very well and to the point, Prabhu. It's very clear.
Ivan.
Oh, should I go?
Yes, Mata. Go ahead.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I was remembering the Bhagavad Gita chapter 14, and we learned about the modes of material nature. One of the things you taught us was to keep becoming an observer of your inner world and your mind to see which modes are controlling you at which time. So it connects well to this topic. So it's something to keep constantly trying to practice.
Yeah, very good.
Hare Krishna, very nice presentation, both Mataji and Prabhuji. And the chart that was explaining the difference between the liberated souls and the conditioned souls helps us to revive the points at one place. And the emphasis on the being the servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the individuality of a living entity. That point really helped us to understand further. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Performance for Mataji with all the key points, analogies, comparisons. Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Both Bhagavad Gita as well as Srimad Bhagavatam, they have combined and illustrations with audio visual, sharp, focused, and makes me nervous also because next week I have to present. I think I should run away because I don't have a resource of knowledge as much as they have in handling. Though I have the points, but the visual effect, which is absolutely professional. Thank you, both Gopalji as well as Shalini. You have enlightened us in a sharper manner and made us involved in the quiz program also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. So definitely, yes, very good presentation and very good use of the visuals. So yes, and all of you also heard with rapt attention. Therefore, you all were able to answer the quiz properly and as well as participate throughout the presentation. So all of you are doing very good presentations and engaging properly while you are in the audience as well. I don't have any more comments because anyway, so it's a very good presentation, and both Shalini and Gopal also, and all of you also recited good verses and references from so many places. And you all have, just as Mother Chija also was using my way of engaging others, Shalini and Gopal have the same way of trying to engage and giving clues. So it's all very good. You all are following and endeavoring properly. Any questions, comments, realizations?
This presentation itself, I consider it is by the mercy of Lord Krishna, and it is also a sort of devotional service, refreshing, recalling, reinforcing of Krishna consciousness. That is my perception and realization, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct that definitely this is devotional service. And we are all, not just the presenters, all of us are trying to engage our senses in Krishna's service. Okay, very good. Shivangi.
Prabhuji, what is next week's topic?
All right, so next week's topic is...
May I say that?
Yeah, go ahead, Uncle.
The fundamental principles of material nature by me.
Yeah, it's in continuation of what we discussed today. Back-to-back topics of chapters 26 and 27. Both are related to material nature. Okay.
Prabhu, we would like to thank you because all of this are all possible because of our association in the class and what we have been hearing and your guidance, everything.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu. For me, all the points, most of it I have taken from the class notes, Prabhu. So it's all whatever you have taught, and then from the purports of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Because are always Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. I have nothing to do. I'm only repeating. It's you listening with rapt attention and then endeavoring on it. Yeah, very good.
Prabhuji, one thing I want to confess to you. Your endeavor of continuously engage our minds in Krishna consciousness you have achieved. We were away for 2 months, and all the 2 months, believe me, every day we were doing some sort of work on this project, which you genuinely wanted that our senses rekindled in Krishna consciousness, and we were occupied. And much time was spent on that, refining, because you said the other day, the spiritual anxiety that was there, and you engaged us. Thank you.
Okay. So very good point, what Uncle is saying. So I want all of you to realize that what is this endeavor of presentation doing it to you? All of you should want to explain what exactly goes on in the weeks and days and months leading up to this presentation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, for me, it is like how Arjuna said, Sanjalam, the Mana Krishna, that has started from that day, Prabhu.
Okay, Shalini.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. No, for me, it is like constant when I'm cooking or whatever I'm doing, any conversation also with anybody, constantly in the back of the mind, I'm thinking about the presentation and Krishna, Prabhu.
Same.
Very good.
It's a constant, the back of the mind, that thing. And as Uncle said, some kind of spiritual anxiety as well. Yeah.
Very good. Kalyani.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I mean, all the days when we were in listening mode, trying to understand and get the knowledge when we were hearing from you, Prabhuji. But when we were trying to present the same thing, first thing that got upon his mind is, before presenting, do we really understand it? And always try to understand and correlate those things with whatever we are going through in our present life. So that is like leading to realization. I don't say that is complete self-realization, but we are trying to realize it and correlate that knowledge, understand it, and then present it. During that process, that is really worthwhile. That's a different thing, that we are really getting into spiritual realization in that endeavor that I felt whenever I present.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah,
And
you all are not just presenting, repeating like a parrot. No, Kalyani makes a very good point also, that you are understanding the subject matter. You are having realizations. That's how you are able to present. So all this spiritual anxiety, okay, very good. I'll come back to this spiritual anxiety. Rest of you? Rest of you, what did these presentations do to you? Those who have not spoken.
Prabhuji, it creates fear in me. That's all.
Yeah,
Fear in me to prepare it. That's all.
Yeah, I'll come back to this fear and spiritual anxiety very soon. Shivangi?
I enjoyed seeing everybody's creativity, Prabhuji. I really liked it.
Yeah, very good. Sridhar Prabhu?
Yeah, really, it gave various insights on the realizations of the devotees and to better understand the pastimes of the Lord Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, very good. So on this point of spiritual anxiety, when one of the previous batches, I think it was batch number 4 or 5, when it started, and so many more devotees had signed up, and I actually had a lot of spiritual anxiety that how will I be able to handle such a big volume of devotees. So I asked my spiritual master, and it so happened that I had just taken shelter and the new batch was starting just at the same time. So I asked my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshwara Sadhikari, that I am scared. So many, like at the time, it was more than 60 plus devotees who had signed up for the session. And my spiritual master said, so this is spiritual anxiety. And it is actually very good. Material world anxiety causes us a lot of distress. And my spiritual master said, spiritual anxiety is actually Srila Prabhupada's mercy on you. And Krishna, Shri Radha and Krishna's mercy on you, that because of this spiritual anxiety, you are in constant remembrance of Shri Radha Krishna. Exactly what you all answered, that you all were in constant remembrance of the topic, whatever activity you were been doing, just so that you could prepare properly. So just visualize that when I had on day 1 said this to you all, that you all will be doing this 45-minute presentation, all of you were like, no, I cannot do this. No, this is too much to handle. Yes, it was, and therefore I gave a lot of time ahead of time, and I gave you guidance just so that you get Srila Prabhupada's mercy, just so that you get Shri Radha Krishna's mercy. And just visualize without even you realizing, for it's been almost 2 months now, I think, that we have been doing presentations. And all of you are in constant remembrance of Krishna. So just visualize the result of what has happened. Everybody?
Yes, Prabhu, we are right.
Yes, Prabhuji. It is taking is to the next step where, we are trying to really understand, realize, and drenched in that consciousness by this activity of presentations.
Very good. Drenched is the key word. Very good.
One more thing I realized. If somebody is, for example, today Sri Gopal and Shalini presented chapter 27. I just glanced through the notes which I recorded earlier in your last class facilitation. So that is also a refresher. So not only my topic, but also you come prepared.
Okay, very good. And in terms of what Uncle and Chandan Prabhu at least were saying today, that you don't have ability for presentation. No, don't worry about that. Don't compare. Do your best. Everyone has been given an ability. What others have been presenting is their ability. What you will present is your ability. And over the weeks that the devotees have presented, they are all unique. Yes, there are similarities, that how today Shalini and Gopal Prabhu did, of starting with, here is our starting point, here is the crux of what we'll discuss, and here is the key ending summary and then a quiz. So if you look at everybody's presentation, everybody did kind of similar, just in their own ways. So you don't worry about, oh, everybody has done so nice, how will I be able to? Just do what you can do. Understand that no one is qualified to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam except Krishna. So Krishna is using you all as instruments. Yes, the voice is coming from your individual devotee's voice. Actually, it's Krishna speaking. Shalini, Gopal.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Just one realization for me, Prabhu, when I was preparing for this presentation, the spiritual anxiety, that's what I noticed, is a little bit different from the material world anxiety.
Yeah.
Because when I've done these kind of presentations for, when I was doing the course and other things, that is like different. Whereas this was, although it is spiritual, but still it was nice. So I didn't feel bad. I was feeling good. So there is, that is, I was just thinking like it's the original. We are spirit soul and we are eternal parts and parcels. So somewhere Krishna's hand is there, Prabhu.
Yeah, very good. Very good, correct. So this spiritual anxiety is actually mercy. Therefore, it is different. Material world anxiety is actually anxiety. This spiritual anxiety is actually mercy. Therefore, Shalini was feeling it something different. Very good. Shiva.
Prabhuji, just a question on the discussion where you said don't compare yourself. I just had a question. When you're in that kind of mood of mentality of comparing yourself, is there like an element of the false ego, like that I, me, my thinking? Like, because for me, when I get into that mentality, I get very focused on myself. Like, instead of seeing it as, oh, it's Krishna was using us as an instrument. So
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, so you are correct that our default setting is that I am doing comparison, I am in the I, me, mine concept. That's my default setting, just as the example I've given that you buy a new device, cell phone or something, comes with a default ringtone. Similarly, our body has default setting, which is downward pull towards the anarthas and towards the sense and sense objects. So we have to consciously come out of it. So the default setting is, oh, so-and-so is doing so nice presentation. So from this default thought process, we change it to, oh, this devotee is doing so nice presentation. Let me glorify the devotee. Let me serve the devotee so that I may also get a pinch of that devotee's devotion, because Krishna is accepting so nice service of the devotee. So it's a conscious endeavor on our part to do something, just as when you buy a new device with a ringtone that you don't like, you have to consciously change the ringtone. Otherwise, the default ringtone will keep ringing that you don't like. So our default setting is the downward pull towards anarthas. If you don't like that, then consciously change. Shivangi.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very good.
Just to clarify, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I was more concerned about the container than the content. Of course, audio-visual presentation is current. I have made more than 200 to 300 presentations in my professional career. But as you rightly pointed out, and as Shalini has gave enough inputs, we are not familiar and very difficult for us to have the resource of these technical inputs. Otherwise, the contents are ready. So I want to present it. Anything, any packaging is always attractive. That's what I meant. Thank you.
Yeah, so you are correct. You can always use somebody's help to do your presentation. And Shivangi, you asked a very good question as well. Shalini, Gopal.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I just wanted to add exactly whatever you said. So I live nearby. I'll go and help uncle and auntie with their presentation, Prabhu. I'll do the visuals, not a problem.
Yeah, very good. Exactly the point that I was explaining to Shivangi. Right? Somebody is doing good presentation. You go and serve that devotee. All right. So thank you everybody for doing the presentation and listening the presentations with rapt attention, and everybody engaged properly. So Shalini, so last week we ran out of time, and so this was to be discussed last week. So Shalini wants to describe the previous week when we went for services, what happened. That do the comparison that last week I acted in a particular way, means last time when we went for service, and the previous times I acted in different way, and what was the result for both those times. Shalini?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna everyone. So 2 weeks back we had gone for service, and this is after a long time. And usually there is a set framework where, I take my verses which I have to memorize, or Prabhu makes us listen to lecture, and, we are constantly discussing Krishna Katha, and we are doing service in that mood. Whereas this time it was after a long time, we are meeting the devotees. So there was a lot of, material world talk, and the mood was not exactly the same. Prabhu used to correct us. We used to go start memorizing, then again we used to go. So just wanted to, explain like how if we do not engage our minds properly in devotional service, the mind is very easily, it can be dragged into sense gratification, that is even discussing anything of the material world. Thank you.
Yeah, so previous to last service time, I used to act like Gabbar Singh and constantly get them back on track, everybody. And all devotees used to literally call me Gabbar Singh. Hey, Gabbar Singh aa gaya. Chante hi no asmin yathate. So last time I did not say a word. I asked all of them to observe themselves. And everybody was caught in the material world. And everybody was like, wow, this is what? We are not memorizing at all. So why this happened was because the modes of material nature take over. So Shalini correctly described that if you are not constantly endeavoring, then the modes of material nature take over. And that's exactly what all devotees did. I was silent, like absolute silent. I wasn't doing any correction to any one of them. And all of them were like, huh? We are not memorizing at all. Yeah, we are just working. So all of you should do a refresher of Bhagavad Gita chapter 14 classes at 3 classes. If you want, you can get the class recordings from me again to just refresh yourself that how the modes of material nature are so very powerful that they just take over. And therefore in Bhagavad Gita chapter 14, Krishna calls Arjuna as Mahabhao. That no matter how powerful you are, the modes are still more powerful than you. Therefore, we have to be constantly aware of the modes and keep bringing the mind back again and again and again and again and again and again. Like literally like a broken tape, you have to keep repeating these words again and again and again. Otherwise, the modes of material nature are there to take you on a ride. Shalini and everybody.
Yes, Prabhu. Either we are doing devotional service, Prabhu, or we are busy in Maya, Prabhu. There's no doing both that I've noticed, Prabhu.
Yeah, you have to dovetail. You have to learn to dovetail.
Yes, Prabhuji, what you said is perfectly correct, because here I have Hey Google. So whenever I start cooking, I just switch on that and then right from Narasimha's sloka, and I start listening Prabhupada's japa like that throughout my cooking for 1 to 1.5 hours. So, the mind doesn't go anywhere. Whereas when I went to my children, there I didn't have Hey Google. So first day I was really feeling very, restless and everything. Then I started chanting japa and other slokas by myself. So that made a lot of difference, Prabhu.
All right, very good. Okay. Any last questions, comments, realizations? Okay, we'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna.